Reprogramming the mind, which says, you know what, I can't handle this. This is going to be painful. This is going to be a mess. It's not going to work out, and I'm not going to know what to do. When I go into a situation like that, I guarantee you the outcome is going to be worse than if I go into the situation and say, all right, I got this. I can figure this out. It may be a little challenging. I may have to ask for help. I may have to, try to accommodate certain people or situations, but I can figure this out. This is going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Really, it's going to be okay. Then I have a whole different experience. I have a whole different mindset going in, and the outcome changes as a result. Now, again, we talked about this a little bit last week, but I want to come back to this because this is really important. And this is how decision-making works. So basically, we have a perception. Now, again, here's that word perception. Perception is so important in everything. We have a perception of a lack or a problem that creates this tension within us. All right? Now, it's not always a problem. It could be things are really good, but we want them to be better. So there's a lack in, the excitement scale or the abundance scale, or it's okay to want a better life. All right? It's okay to want a bigger life. That's why I wrote this book. But we want to be aware of the process, how the decision-making process works within our mind. So we perceive some lack or problem, and that creates a tension within us. Within our minds, within our bodies, there's this tension. Now, what we want to do is, so what happens next is, in step 2, we make choices or decisions that we think will eliminate that lack or solve that problem. So we're using our cognitive facilities, we're using our mind to come up with a solution to the problem based on the perception that there is a problem or a lack that needs to be fixed or solved or relieved. But remember, the perception of the lack or the problem starts with how we see ourselves in that situation. And then in step 3, we get feedback. So if the choices that we make release the tension, we feel better. That's why I say it's the desire to feel better that motivates every choice and decision we make. We want to feel better. And the feeling better parts comes when the tension is released, when the problem is solved, when the lack is addressed. Now the problem is, we don't always have all the information. This week, we don't always have all the information to make an informed decision. There are conflicting choices, that can come up. So we want to feel better on the car reliability front, so we go buy a new car. So we feel better on the car front, but we feel worse on the financial front. And then if there are other people involved, they have their own idea about what's going to feel better in that situation. So it's not always so clear-cut, it's not always black and white. The whole reason I'm bringing all of this up is we want to be aware going into the situation what the challenges are, how we can be better prepared, and how we can then have better outcomes and making better choices and decisions. Again, the example I gave last week is when I moved to California, I leased a very expensive, fancy, convertible European sports car that I couldn't afford. But I thought if I had that car, then I would fit in and I would feel better. I would be acceptable, socially acceptable, in terms of my career, in terms of my job situation. I thought I needed that to fit in. And when I fit in, I look good. And when I look good, I feel good. And I would feel better about being acceptable, about being part of fitting into the situation. But as I said, I spent a lot of money on a car I couldn't afford. It actually turned out to be a real nightmare when all was said and done. And if I had just changed how I saw myself so I was acceptable, so I fit in, so I was okay no matter what car I drove, then I could have saved myself a lot of money and heartache. All right? It's not an argument about getting nice cars. It's okay to have a nice car. It's okay to live in a nice neighborhood. It's okay to do all that stuff, but we want to know why we're making the choices that we make so we can make better choices. Why we're making the decisions we're making so we can make better decisions. That's all this is about. But it starts with that consciousness. It starts with knowing what's motivating our choices and decisions.